students who are studying at the opposite academy get to go sit with their own and get away from all the heckling they've been taking all week. It's worth a flip over. Skydivers coming in. Army and Air Force skydivers landing in a precision targeting contest. All just part of the scene before the football even goes in the air. Hello from Colorado Springs, Alan Bestwick and Coach Dan Hawkins. Both of us have family ties to the military. What an honor it is to be here to cover this game.
Yeah, the pageantry just sends chills right up your spine. It really does. This game means so much more. You're talking about duty, honor, country. It's bigger than a game here today.
As far as style of football, these two teams running the option, grinding it out. It's going to be a real test of wills.
Yeah, I don't think you can out-tough these guys. They're used to grinding. It will be a ground attack today. I think the over-under on the passes for both teams probably 10, and I'd take the under.
Air Force will get the ball first. And Timothy McVeigh will let it bounce in the end zone. And the touchback. The Falcons will get first possession in this game. So Air Force comes in with a pretty good season going for themselves. They are 5-3, 4-1 in the Mountain West Mountain Division, and undefeated here at home in 10 games, a school record. Head coach Troy Calhoun getting his team ready to come onto the field for their first offensive possession.
Air Force trying to get bowl eligible. Troy Calhoun had these Falcons 10-win season last year. Has done a tremendous job. Army coming off a number of close losses in the heartbreaker at Rice 2 weeks ago in a downpour rain. Of course, they had a bye week last week.
So there is the Air Force quarterback, 16, Carson Roberts, getting ready to direct their offensive attack. He'll hand it off up the gut. It'll be Jacoby Owens, who will have just a little bit. A look at Carson Roberts. Coming in after the starter for the season, Nate Romine, went down with an ACL and MCL tear. Roberts, a senior out of Houston, Texas. Running the ball is what Air Force does.
Mike Thiessen, the offensive coordinator, played here, and he's the offensive coordinator. He said Carson does as good a job as anybody he's had checking plays to the line of scrimmage.
And there is Roberts, keeping it around the far side. He's knocked down by Jeremy Timp, 39, for the Army West Point Black Knights.
Going to see a lot of mirror image of offenses between these two teams running the triple option. Air Force will get in a pro-style attack at times. You're going to see them going I-backs here.
So 3rd down and 3, a very manageable down and distance for this style of offense. Up the middle, pushing, but did he get the first down yardage? Brian Driscoll with the ball, and they're going to mark him just short and call it 4th down.
Try to get an old school I-backs and run power there off the right-hand side.
Now Air Force has gone for it on 4th down 17 times this season, made 10 of them. But with the ball still at their own 34-yard line, they'll send the punt team onto the field and kick it away.
Yeah, I don't think you want to go for it right now. And if they don't get it, you get Army really jacked up on the road. You got to feel like they're the favorite. Play the odds right now. There might be time for taking chances later in the game.
Steve Brosi has been the starting punter the last 4 games for Air Force. Fair catch signaled for and made by Edgar Poe, and the Black Knights from Army West Point will take it over at their own 33-yard line. Quarterback has been a storyline for Army as well throughout the season. There is 17, Ahmad Bradshaw, who will return to the starter's role here today. He and A.J. Shore have kind of swapped back and forth starting as they've swapped back and forth being injured.
Very athletic. You see the touchdown to interceptions down at the end.
Those of you just joining us, we welcome you to Colorado Springs in the campus of the United States Air Force Academy. And one of the great rivalries in college football, a fight between 2 of our military academies. It's Army versus Air Force, with a shot at the Commander-in-Chief's trophy at stake. I'm Alan Bestwick. Coach Dan Hawkins is with me. Air Force 3 and out on the opening possession of the game. And now Army has a 2nd and 5 with the ball at its own 38-yard line. Ahmad Bradshaw, 17. The Black Knights quarterback. Very effective runner.
Breaking out here early. They will get in the gun. Of course, they're going to run a little speed option.
Pitch to the outside. 31, Jordan Asbury will have 1st down yardage for Army.
Army has really struggled with turnovers in critical times. They've been able to move the ball on the ground. As you mentioned, injuries, not only at quarterback, but up front in the offensive line. And then they're playing a bunch of true freshmen, which is rare for an academy situation.
Yeah, head coach Jeff Monken telling us when we spoke with him the other day that they were slowly nursing themselves back to health, but this is the second straight season they've had a lot of injury problems along their offensive line.
Now, the one advantage they did have was a bye week last week as the Air Force went to the islands to take on Hawaii.
Bradshaw tries to get the edge, and a nice trip of his shoelaces, and a knockdown there by Jacob Onichi. As you look at the two coaches, there is Jeff Monken, his second season at Army. Had a lot of years as an assistant to Paul Johnson at Navy. Knows how to run this triple option system well, and is a big fan of the Service Academy athletic program, trying to turn it around at Army. And Troy Calhoun, a former Air Force quarterback, one of the few people to be coaching at his alma mater in FBS college football, and you see he's had quite a bit of success with the Falcons.
Bunch of coaches on the Air Force staff that played at Air Force, and I think that's really critical in understanding the cadet situation.
Bradshaw dives inside. He'll be whacked and dropped shy of first down yardage. It'll be third and very short for the Black Knights. Army coming into this game with a 2-6 record on this season, and turnovers have been a big part of the problem. Yeah, I think that's a big issue, both in throwing the ball, and they've had a lot of snap issues, which is kind of rare for an option team. And then what they're doing right now, normally, you know, and I'm not a big fan of clock management, but it's critical because Air Force has got a little more punch than Army does. They got to keep that Air Force team off the field. That might cost Army 5, and it will. So instead of being 3rd and 1,
false start, 6 offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
John Trainer, the running back, tagged for that foul. So instead of being 3rd and 1, it's going to be 3rd and 6.
Those penalties hurt any team, but they really hurt a Service Academy team. Ahmad Bradshaw comes into this game. He's only thrown 30 passes on the year, so 3rd and 6 takes him off schedule quite a bit because normally they'd like to run it. Now, if they get some production here and get close, might be a good chance to go for it on the road.
Matt Giaquinta is the fullback. Bradshaw will keep it. Be hit and stopped just shy of getting the first down yardage. Claude Alexander and Connor Healy combined on the stop for Air Force. And again, Army in this offensive system won't be shy of going for it on 4th and short on the plus side of the field.
You've seen a couple of instances here early on what Bradshaw brings to the offense. He's got a little juice. He can outrun a guy to the edge.
And just as I say, they won't be shy of going for it. Coach Monken runs the punt team onto the field. Alex Tardieu is the punter, looking to flip some field position here, see if he can pin the Falcons down close. Good coverage downfield by the Black Knights, and Air Force will start inside its own 5-yard line. Justin Fawn grabbed the ball for Army. The pageantry and the setting of a Service Academy rivalry game is unmatched in college football. It's been that way today. The march on of cadets, the dismissal of formation when the Air Force students scramble for their seats in the Falcon Stadium grandstand, the prisoner exchange. Students studying at the other school who get to go sit with their own during the game and get away from the endless heckling that they've taken all week long. The skydivers coming in, the flyover. What a setting here at Falcon Stadium. Scoreless in the first quarter as Air Force gets set for its second possession, starting at its own 4-yard line. Carson Roberts, the Falcon quarterback. This is DJ Johnson, the fullback, slamming up inside. Johnson's missed some time the last 3 games, actually injured, and so how many snaps we'll see him today with as much pounding as the fullback takes in this option system will be interesting to see.
I think the Falcons get a little room here. They're going to take some shots, and I think once they get going, they'd like to tempo and try to wear on with the altitude and a smaller travel roster of Army. And then obviously on the other side, they've got to stop the run when the Black Knights have the ball. See Carson checking the play up the line of scrimmage based off the look he's getting.
Going to keep this one. And he'll have a game that'll set Air Force up with a 3rd and about 2.5 to 3.
So many of those plays, I think, to the naked eye, all look the same. But every time that fullback dives inside, they've got a little wrinkle going on with the blocking up front. It's not always exactly the same. To the naked eye, it would look. But so you've got 4 or 5 ways to run it to the fullback. If they didn't like it, he's going to pull it, get outside and read a different guy. And then if he doesn't like that, he can kick it outside the pitch.
So can the Falcons convert here on the 3rd and 2? They were 3 and out on their opening possession. Handoff will go to Brian Driscoll. He'll get dragged down and stopped shy of the yard to gain.
Same exact play they tried on 3rd and short last time.
Ryan England on the stop for the Black Knights.
Coach Calhoun playing pretty close to the vest, obviously backed up. The last thing you want is to give it away.
You see last week against Hawaii, the Falcons were able to get ahead very early. Here they're 3 and out on their opening 2 possessions. And now the punter, Steve Brosi, will be standing in his own end zone for this second kick of the day. Edgar Poe is the Army receiver. A second fair catch signal. And Army will have the ball on the plus side of the field at the Air Force 46-yard line. Scoreless here in Colorado Springs.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Energizer Eco Advance, the world's first AA battery made with 4% recycled batteries. At Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The fan midway at the tailgating area are a little bit different than most at a military academy game. Some fun things to see for sure for kids of all ages here at Air Force. And the 50th meeting between Army and Air Force is scoreless. Halfway through quarter number 1. Army with the ball at the Air Force 45. Bradshaw hitting the backfield. Makes a nice spin to get away. And a nice gain on first down.
That was an issue that Rice gave Army last week. Blowing through that A-gap inside by the center. And kissing that fullback on the first read. Ahmad Bradshaw able to hang on to the ball, number 1. And being athletic enough to gut up inside. Going to show you a little bit of this triple option. The first part going to the fullback. Quarterback's going to eyeball that first defensive lineman. If he stays wide, he's going to hand it to the back. If he squeezes it inside, then he's going to pull it and run outside. The beauty of the triple option is there's 2 guys that you don't have to block in every play. And that means double teams on other defenders. And that's why it's a good offense for academies to run even against bigger schools. When you get a couple more double teams at the point of attack, helps your running game.
3rd down and 5 here for Army. They need to get to the 35-yard line. Fullback up the middle. Not much gain there for Aaron Kemper. And a nice stop there by Lachlan Deeks, 54 for Air Force.
Aaron Kemper's been playing at fullback quite a bit more than Matt Giaquinta, the captain. You see Lachlan Deeks there on the tackle. But Kemper has done a nice job. He brings a little more athleticism there. He's only listed at 5'6", 210.
They come up shy of first down yardage, and so with a 4th and 2, again, Coach Monken sends the punt team onto the field, and they'll try and pin Air Force back deep one more time. That one will just skip through what was pretty good coverage by Army, and Air Force will get the touchback and a little field position break to start this next possession. Alex Tardieu is the Army punter. Last time he pinned Air Force deep. This time didn't work out so well.
In a field position game that these 2 teams play, it's really critical, particularly when you have a 4th and short. Now you're going to watch Alex Tardieu. Number 1, he doesn't drop the nose like some guys in the Aussie rules type punt. And then you got defenders there, but they can't quite find it. Last time they pinned Air Force down on the 4, and they had to be extremely conservative. Now the ball comes out to the 20, a difference of 15 yards, of course, and then much more freedom in the play calling for Mike Thiessen to open up here, which I think he'll probably take a shot downfield at some point in this drive.
Carson Roberts has not thrown the ball in the game yet. The Air Force quarterback, they start at their 20. Pitch to the outside. Tyler Williams looks to get the edge. He's got it. He's out across the 30-yard line and knocked out of bounds as we check in the studio with Brendan Fitzgerald. Yeah, they're going to have to contain him, the Tigers are, if they want to keep a hold on that #1 ranking. Coming near side, Garrett Griffin, the tight end for Air Force, knocked down by Andrew King, one of the star linebackers for the Army Black Knights. And it'll be close to first down yardage, but it will bring up a short gain needed to move the sticks.
Good little play action there on first down.
Ooh, late pitch, almost picked off. The pitch from Roberts to Brian Driscoll was almost intercepted by Brandon Jackson for Army.
There's a couple ways you could play the option. One is to string it out along the sideline, and then the other is to penetrate. And as you mentioned right there, penetration coming in almost 6 points the other way for Brandon Jackson.
An option pitch for a pick six is not something you'll see very often.
Brandon Jackson, one of the many Black Knights that made this trip as a freshman.
So loss of yardage sets up 3rd and 7. 0 for 2 on 3rd down are the Falcons. Roberts will throw. He'll have it near side. His receiver was Garrett Brown. Where do they mark it? Looks like he's going to have just enough to move the sticks.
Good, effective formation, just throwing the ball out to the flat. Air Force is built to throw the ball a little bit better than Army. Not what they want to do. And as you mentioned at the top of the show with Nate Romine, a little more of a dual threat guy. But Carson Roberts doing a really good job operating this offense right now.
So they get the first down for the first time in this game. And the ball at the 46-yard line. Back deep, this is Driscoll.
Great play.
Grab in the backfield by Alex Ackerman, 21 for Army.
Really good job coming up and making a shoestring tackle there by Alex. One of the unsung things in this game, you see a lot of unbalance, and they're motioning that both the receivers on the line of scrimmage at the top of the field gain an advantage. And if Alex doesn't quite get that trip up, could be a pretty good sized gain.
Want to talk about a shoestring tackle? That was it.
The definition. Now here's an area right here. You kind of start getting in this area of midfield when you're thinking about taking a shot downfield, long throw.
Roberts just had no place to go.
All right, so on that play there, the fullback dives. And then if the quarterback thinks, well, maybe I misread it, he will jump in and follow the fullback. And sometimes you see that happen. He did not give it to the fullback, looked outside, didn't like it, said, I need to duck in behind my fullback, and there wasn't much there. So
Jacoby Owens comes out as the fullback, and another 3rd down here for the Falcons.
Jacoby Owens, more of a tailback type guy, but they've liked his production inside that fullback spot, and that's where it all starts in the option offense.
He's had to move inside into the fullback spot because of injury. Here's Roberts to throw. Has a receiver knocked out of the hands of Garrett Griffin, and a nice defensive play by Ryan England for Army.
Ryan England doing a really good job coming over and making a play there. Air Force opening up. Straight drop back. You don't see a lot of that on both of these teams. Pretty doggone good throw. Could have been caught, but Ryan England doing a nice job getting a hand in there. He's just a sophomore.
So the punt team on once again for Air Force. Steve Brosey to kick. What, this will be already the 4th time he's punted in the game? 3rd, 4th?
So you see there, even in that series, not much, but at least they flipped the field a little bit. Although that punt is not what they wanted.
Ball's deep, motioning people away so it doesn't bounce off an Army player, and will take a roll down to about the 16-yard line. So a little field position flip, and Army will take over the ball. 2 minutes to go, first quarter scoreless. Getting to that time of the year, some really interesting games to watch in college football. The number 3 team, Ohio State, tonight taking on Minnesota on ABC at 8 Eastern, presented by Walmart. The game, of course, also streaming live on Watch ESPN. First college football playoff rankings out this week. Clemson number 1, trailing Florida State right now. Ohio State with that game against Minnesota later tonight.
Yeah, and of course you got Alabama and LSU.
Yeah.
Boy, November's awesome. Every conference contest shaping up, and of course we got this game in a couple weeks. It'll be the Army-Navy game.
So Army takes over the ball at the 17-yard line. Scoreless first quarter. The handoff goes to the fullback, Aaron Kemper, with a nice run. He might have the first down just on that one.
Really nice trap play up inside. And this is what Aaron Kemper gives you. See right there, pulling and trapping up inside. Not a straight dive. And I know to the naked eye it looks like they're just handing it. It's a big mash of bodies down there. But there's always little subtle changes going on in the blocking.
Got an Air Force player that is getting medical attention or attention from the training staff just at the 22-yard line. That is Lachlan Deeks, the nose guard. But as you see, walking back off the field already.
All right, what you're going to see right here is the guard is going to pull, okay, and end up trapping. Little different look. You see the kick out, just a nice little seam coming through there. Good wrinkle by Army in that running game up front.
Any game that we've had that's involved an option team, and particularly this week, both coaches have talked about discipline on defense, assignment and eye discipline.
Yeah, you really have to read your keys, meaning wherever the blocker goes, but sometimes these guys are smart now. You're dealing with the best of the best, and thank goodness they're defending our country, but they do some things to deceive the eyes and deceive your training, so it's kind of like spy versus spy.
So they did give the Black Knights the first down. So from the 28-yard line, Bradshaw popped after he hands off to the fullback. That was Matt Giacinta, one of the captains, as we check in with our captain of the studio, Brendan. Thank you, sir. Scoreless here as we get down to a minute and a half in the first quarter between Army and Air Force. Ahmad Bradshaw, the sophomore quarterback from Chicago.
He's been banged up, and he took a shot on that play, and he was wincing a little bit before he got back in the huddle.
Handoff here to the fullback Kemper. Bradshaw started the first 4, missed 5 and 6, started game 7, missed the last game against Rice. There's the pop you talked about, Hawk.
Yeah, you see right there on the shoulder, and that's his issue coming in this game, and you can just kind of see him. Look at him getting up, holding that thing just a little bit.
So a 3rd down and 5 here for Army.
Quarterback A.J. Scher, who was playing, he's also banged up. He's on the trip, but he's banged up as well.
It's really been one of the stories of the season for Jeff Monken and the Army West Point team.
Army comes in with a tight end at the top of the screen.
Bradshaw to throw. Got a receiver, but overthrew him. Tried to get it downfield to DeAndre Bell. Bell was covered, and Bradshaw paid for standing in the pocket.
Got popped again. One of the goals, I said, is to stay healthy. See right here, landed on that shoulder.
That was Samuel Byers who got in there, the defensive tackle for Air Force. And so Army will punt for a 3rd time in this one. Alex Tardieu. Wind has really been a factor for the kicking game for both teams so far, but he's got the wind at his back for this one. Last couple times he was trying to pooch it inside the 5-yard line. That one will take a bounce out of bounds at about the 22-yard line.
Yeah, Garrett Brown got lucky on that one. He's got to catch that ball. It went sideways. Normally it's going to roll down there and get down inside the 20.
No score here at Air Force. A little chill in the air, a little autumn football afternoon here in Colorado Springs. And a pretty good crowd on hand to see Army and Air Force on the campus of the United States Air Force Academy. Checking out some of the military hardware. And now Air Force taking over with no score at its own 22-yard line and 15 seconds to go in the first quarter. Nice run up the middle by the fullback, DJ Johnson. One of the longest gains of the day for Air Force, and he's out to get first down yardage at the 32.
DJ comes in at about 235. He looks a little big for a jet fighter. I don't know if he can fit in that. Maybe he's a ground support guy. I'm not sure if he can fit in the jet.
So the first quarter comes to a close, scoreless. A difficult fight defensively between Air Force and Army. What a scene, and a good representation on hand from West Point. As Army and Air Force head to the second quarter, scoreless here in Colorado Springs. Alan Bestwick, Coach Dan Hawkins, in a game we said at the beginning of it would be a very difficult struggle. Well, first quarter stats, they're just about identical.
Yeah, they've been pretty balanced, too, between the fullback, the quarterback, and the pitch in terms of their run game. And only 4 passes in that first quarter.
So Air Force now gets the wind at its back. The 1st and 10 at their own 32-yard line. Carson Roberts, the Falcon quarterback, will hand off. This will be Brian Driscoll, the tailback, who's kind of been thrust into a greater role the last couple of weeks because of injuries and responded well.
Yeah, I think they've rotated these guys through in that fullback situation and included the tailbacks as the drive. You see right there, perfectly balanced between inside quarterback and the outside pitch to the halfback.
And 7 different ball handlers in the 15 plays that Air Force has run so far.
You mentioned the wind. I think Air Force might have been waiting for that wind to take a shot.
There's Driscoll again reaching forward to try and get the first down. It'll be a little short. Brandon Jackson dropped in there for Army. So it'll be 3rd and about 1 for the Falcons.
That's that same power play they've been running in short yardage, pulling the backside guard. Now Air Force can go fast, and they will go fast. I think they want to wait till they get a first down before they start tempo on Army, but I think that could be critical with the altitude as this game goes along if they can start getting some hands on the hips and breathing.
Here's the shot downfield. Wide open, but overthrown was the tight end, Garrett Griffin.
It's kind of been the story for Air Force this year. Talking to Mike Thiessen before the game, he thought he was going to have some guys break wide open. Now they were faking that short yardage power that they've been running, set up well by the second down play, but unable to connect with the tight end down the seam.
So Roberts 2 for 5 throwing the ball now, just 13 yards of passing, and the punter Steve Brosey on again for the Falcons. Edgar Poe signals the fair catch and makes it at about the 11-yard line. Defensive struggle continues here at Air Force. What to do while you're having your tailgate or while you're out and about on a college football Saturday? Well, take the action with you. Stream any game live on the Watch ESPN app or watchespn.com. That's where you can find it to download it. And there's certainly a lot of interesting games to keep track of as we go through the month of November for sure. Here at Air Force, Army and Air Force are scoreless. Samad Bradshaw leading the Black Knights from West Point back onto the field. They start at their own 12-yard line.
Don't expect the operation to change much, folks. This Army crew is kind of built to grind it out. Not going to be flashy, not going to be fancy, but they're not going to turn it over.
Aaron Kemper grinds a couple of yards there, tied for the team lead in rushing yards, averaging almost 7 yards per carry. The junior from Cincinnati, Ohio, one of many on this team who spent a year at the U.S. Military Academy Prep School before embarking on his 4-year journey at West Point. And with this triple option offense, that's kind of the thing. If you get 2-3 yards each, on first down and on second down and set yourself up at 3rd and short, that's manageable. Bradshaw there with not much. So this is going to be a 3rd and a little more difficult to manage as you see some of the other games up later on today. Michigan State, Nebraska, Navy and Memphis. Very interesting one in the American Athletic Conference. And then, of course, the Minnesota-Ohio State game we talked about earlier. How about that Navy-Memphis game?
Yeah, that will be a terrific game. There'll be some great quarterback play going on in that game.
Keenan Reynolds, 1 touchdown to become the all-time leader in touchdowns scored. So
Army breaking out here a little bit. This is not their style.
Bradshaw escapes the pocket, gets the first down, and a lot more. Flag down. Bradshaw will be all the way to the 35-yard line of Air Force before he's knocked out of bounds. But there's a flag all the way back at the 19.
That's what he brings. He's not much of a thrower.
Holding. Offense, number 53. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Matt Hugenberg, the center for Army, is flagged with the violation.
There's been 2 penalties in this game, and they've both been brutal. on the Knights. Obviously a huge gain right here. See the hold there,
right there,
in the middle of the screen.
Wipes out a 50-yard run by Bradshaw.
There was a procedure call in the first drive that took them off track, and they had to end up punting on that drive. Now you have the biggest play of the game being negated because of a penalty.
So move the ball all the way back to the 9-yard line. They need the 22.
Yeah, this will be tough because not only are you behind the chains, you're also going into the wind. That affects the throw and then subsequent punting game.
Bradshaw, a 50% passer on this season. Won't get away this time. Knocked down in the defensive backfield by DJ Dunn, 34 for Air Force.
Better job staying in the rush lanes. They got out. You're going to see right here, design quarterback draw the whole way. But good discipline in the rush lanes by the D-line.
So Dunn, the junior from San Bernardino, California, in his first year playing regularly and really showing up on a lot of the highlights when you watch the film for Air Force, has now set Army up to where the punter Alex Tardieu was standing almost at the back of his own end zone.
Yeah, and these snaps have not been great every time. Pretty good that time.
Gets that one away, takes a bounce, and Air Force is going to have plus field position. They'll start at the Army 42-yard line for this possession.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by the new DQ Bakes Oven Hot Snack Melts at participating locations and True Biotics, a daily probiotic from the nutritional experts at One A Day.
The Falcon mascot trained and handled by a cadet falconer. That lure on a 30-foot cord. And of course the Falcon knows at the end of the performance he gets lunch. And here at Falcon Stadium, Air Force and Army are scoreless here in the second quarter. Air Force with its best starting field position of the day at the Army 42-yard line. Carson Roberts hands off. Jacoby Owens has got some room to the outside. He's finally grabbed onto and knocked down by Xavier Moss for Army. But a great run there for Air Force, one of its best of the day.
Got a little seam up inside, handed it to Jacoby. There you see it. The option is all the way outside. Air Force was caving down the edge. There was no read inside. That was designed to go outside veer all the way.
Here's Tyler Williams. He's got first down yardage before Moss comes across and knocks him down.
This quick pitch used by a lot of option teams, and you see right here they're kind of picking up the tempo.
So in just 2 plays, Air Force already down to the Army 13-yard line. The ball goes up the middle. Grinding for yardage is Jacoby Owens, and for a third consecutive play, Xavier Moss, 9, is the one that makes the stop for Army.
See that 70%, obviously doing a nice job, and a lot of that, when you have a good running game, anytime the ball gets on the 20-yard line and in, you lose the vertical deception part of the secondary, and you've got to be a physical running team in the red zone.
Roberts dives down close to getting a first down, and he's inside the 5-yard line. Jeremy Timp knocks him down for Army.
Timp doing a great job scraping inside out there. Really doing a fine job getting outside. Now again, Army is trying to take that all the way outside. There was no inside fake. Total, that was not a triple option. That was a double option between the quarterback and the pitch halfback.
So Falcons can get a first down here. If they get to the 3, they'll get a fresh set of downs. It's 3rd and 1.
Neither team doing a great job. Army, that 0 comes up. 2 really costly penalties. The only 2 penalties in this game have negated third downs for them.
That's Owens. And good penetration by Brandon Jackson for Army will make it 4th down for the Falcons.
Nice to see the freshman cornerback coming off the edge there in a physical manner. Looks like they're going to opt to kick the field goal, at least by perception now. Troy Calhoun's done a great job with the Falcons over the years in special teams. They're not afraid to fake, and they've done a great job on the other side blocking kicks as well.
Strabel. The sophomore from Nashville breaks the scoreless tie, and Air Force gets the first points in this one in the second quarter. Air Force is the newest of the service academies, if you will, but it's been around for a while, and the first time Army and Air Force played in a football game was at Yankee Stadium in New York City in 1959. Hard-fought game that wound up in a 13-all tie. So that makes this 2015 meeting the 50th all-time between Army and Air Force. See, it's been a little while since Army has won here at Air Force, and certainly the Falcons have had the best of it in recent times as Jeff Monken and his crew try to rebuild that Army program, and Troy Calhoun tries to keep it going for the Falcons.
This crew would have been worn out in the Hawaii game. Got their PT in for the week in one day.
All the freshmen. One push-up for each point Air Force has on the board. Kick will go for a touchback, and we check in with Brendan. Yeah, just try and figure out who's going to come out of all these last few weeks and predict what that final ranking will look like for the college football playoff.
It's hard to go undefeated. I mean, it is hard to go undefeated. I don't care who you are. And then everybody just mails it in. Yeah, if they can win out, if they can win out. And you're right. Everybody's got about 2 or 3 tough games this month.
Kemper with the handoff to start the Army drive, and a good gain before he is wrapped up by Brody Hicks, 18 for the Falcons. So Arm now facing a deficit for the first time in this game. We're 8.5 minutes remaining second quarter in the Air Force drive. Pretty nice one. 6 plays, 37 yards. Of course, the plus field position to start, and the 2 big runs, 16 yards and 13 yards by Owens and Williams, set up the three-pointer.
Army is just not built to throw the ball down the field. They've got to be patient, not commit penalties, and take care of the football.
Asbury will have the first down for the Black Knights. Knocked down by Brody Hicks. But Jordan Asbury, the freshman from Cincinnati, Ohio, gets the edge.
Here's the pitch phase now. The fullback is blocking right there, so it really turns into a double option. Air Force doing a pretty good job stringing it out, but enough yardage for the first down.
Out to the 37-yard line for the fresh set of downs for Army West Point.
One of the things that makes it difficult against these offenses, if you blitz, you better get there, because if you guess wrong, you're probably going to be getting your field goal block team out there ready to go.
Nice block by the fullback Giaquinta to keep that from being a loss, but a very brief gain around the outside for Asbury. Roland Latipo, one of the star defenders for Air Force, was there to make the play. 25.
Coach has talked about him. Real coming on, Latipo. So now the quarterback, he's going to fake to the fullback. They squeeze it. You see the defensive tackle coming down inside. Now he's looking to the next guy outside. Is he going to take me? No. Then I'm going to pitch it. So there's really in that scheme 2 unblocked defenders. You've got to read them, but it gives you double teams at other points.
Handoff inside for not much by the fullback, Aaron Kemper. Read and react, read and react. And on the other side of the ball, discipline.
Healy coming in. Now that time they gambled and they did blitz the mesh point inside with the fullback, and they were able to get there and create a pile.
So third down here. Army needs the 47-yard line to keep the drive going.
They got in a one-back formation the last drive. Not really the way these guys are built.
And they're not going to have it. Asbury tried to get outside, well pursued by the Air Force defense, rather, including Brody Hicks, 18. And it'll set up fourth down for Army. And I would imagine the punt team's going to come on, as we've seen already a few different times. Timeout for an injured Air Force player who has just taken a knee and now a seat right in front of the near sideline.
Really important in the punting game here to keep the ball down. You got the wind blowing right in your face. You can't get it up in the air. You got to stay down and drive it through that wind.
Samuel Byers, the junior defensive tackle from Kingston, Washington, is the player that is being assisted. And he is up, and good to see that he's headed back toward the Falcons sideline. Quick reminder tonight on ESPN, speaking of undefeated, 7th-ranked Michigan State putting their perfect record on the line against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We start at 7 Eastern on ESPN, presented by Hilton Hotels, and of course, it's always streaming live on Watch ESPN. I have a feeling we're going to wear the remote control out tonight.
I think Army and Nebraska have been going to the same advisor because they both have lost a lot of really extremely close games.
So Alex Tardieu standing back for his 5th punt, averaging 39. This one will be fair caught by Garrett Brown, and Air Force will start at its 17-yard line, leading 3-0. Peterson Air Force Base is here in Colorado Springs. Hawk and I and some of our ESPNU college football crew, pleasure to be able to visit there yesterday and meet some of the men and women serving our country.
Really was an honor. These guys fly these big old planes, these C-130s. They transport troops, they transport equipment around the world. Of course, here in the States, they help fight fire. And what an honor. These guys really take a lot of pride in representing their country, and we owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude, and quite an operation here in the Springs. We got some other video coming up later, some of the other activities we got in yesterday.
Leaping across a fallen player and trying to get a couple, DJ Johnson on that first down run. Yeah, that was the 302nd Airlift Wing that we were visiting there. They have a thing called MAFS, M-A-F-F-S. It's the Mobile Airborne Firefighting System. They dropped like 28,000 pounds of retardant out of those E-130s over some of those terrible wildfires you see out west. That's just one of 53 mission groups that operate at Peterson Air Force Base.
Yeah, all those folks who are yawning when that graphic comes on. He got a shot down the field here. Got him.
Got him. Running free, Garrett Brown. One man to beat. And he'll go out of bounds inside the 25-yard line at the 22.
Dropped it in there. Really nice throw. Good concentration by Garrett Brown. Showing speed option outside. Drop back. Brown running right down the hash mark. Ryan England trying to get over there and make a play, but pretty good throw and a really good concentration.
So a 59-yard gain for the Falcons. Sets them up now at the 22-yard line of Army.
Yeah, I was saying you may not pay much attention to that C-130 there, but when those guys come in to firebomb, when you're getting a fire next to your house, you're happy they're out there.
Absolutely. Small gain for DJ Johnson up the middle. John Voigt, 59 for Army with the stop there. Yeah, that's Peterson. That's also the home of the 21st Space Wing. When they're getting ready to launch a satellite, like say the one that brings you the signal that brings you these football games, they're responsible for tracking all the space debris and so on to make sure it gets into orbit safely, among many, many functions that they perform out at Peterson. So 2nd and 7 for the Falcons here at the 19-yard line. Pitch outside to Tyler Williams, dives, but it'll be just shy of first down yardage before Tevin Long chases him out of bounds for Army. Talked about wouldn't see the ball in the air much. Obviously that big pass play just a minute ago, but if you look, we're at 6 in the game so far.
I said the over-under was 10, so maybe I was a little off.
Some of these tempo offenses, they'll throw the ball 6 times in one series.
Kind of thought Air Force might crank up the tempo a little bit down here in the red zone.
1 of 6 on 3rd down are the Falcons. You see they need 2. They'll have this one. That's Benton Washington, the halfback with the carry. The sophomore from Noonan, Georgia.
They will get an I formation, as you saw right there, with 2 tight ends. Nothing option football, of course. Troy Calhoun spent some time in the NFL, so his background is more than just option football. He understands the necessity of that offense in the academy, but if he's got the personnel, they will run some pro formations and some pro plays.
First and goal, And Washington not quite able to shake through. Tripped up there by TJ Ademalala for Army, 93. But 2nd and goal here for the Falcons.
Same play coming back the other way. They've run that play several times. Of course, they ran it in short yardage a couple times. Didn't get much out of it. Might be thinking they're possible play action at this point right here in 2nd down. One-on-one coverage outside.
Garrett Griffin, the big tight end, he goes down to block. The pitch coming around the corner to Tyler Williams. They'll mark him shy. He's out of bounds at the 1.
Opt to go with a quick pitch. A couple guys getting up a little bit gimpy. Benton Washington, I think, was one of them.
And step out right there at about, like he might have stepped out at the 2. They mark it at the 1. So 3rd down and goal for Air Force, leading 3-0.
All right, the patented option play down here is where it's almost a high percentage of quarterback follow. It's not going to be an I-backs, though. Yeah, they're a little
confused. So timeout for Air Force, and we check in back in the studio with Brendan and check up on what's coming up. All right, Brendan, thanks. That coming up in just a couple of minutes. 2.5 left to go in the 2nd quarter here at Air Force. Falcons leading Army 3-0, and with a 3rd and goal at the Army 1-yard line.
Derek Mason's done a great job at Vandy with that defense this year. They've held up against pretty much everybody. I think they continue to build that offense. They got a chance, but they're much, much improved on defense.
Now, the replay officials are looking at the proper spot of the ball, where Tyler Williams stepped out of bounds and where the ball should be marked. And again, remember, they have to have
the ball we placed there. 3rd down.
That's where his foot is. Hard to tell exactly where the football was at that point.
So they're going to move it back to the 3-yard line.
Well, that's where the foot was,
yep.
But you see Mike Thiessen right here. He's the offensive coordinator. Played quarterback here. Very successful.
All right, so now it's 3rd and goal from the 3 instead of from the 1. That changes what?
Well, I think it gives you more of a run-pass option down here, but they went with that quick pitch. I think a lot of it formationally. We'll see what they decide to go with. It looks to me like they're going a little bit unbalanced. So you've got the tight end over here, tackle on the other side.
Johnson's the fullback. Driscoll is the tailback. And wide open, the tight end is Garrett Griffin with an Air Force touchdown.
That was a sweet play. Unbalanced, bringing the tight end back from the other side. A lot of bodies crisscrossing in there, a lot of things to look at. See the tight end coming there across the screen. Hard to track that guy down on the goal line.
Garrett Griffin, the senior from Lewisburg, Kansas, missed the first 5 games of this season injured. That is his 6th career touchdown reception for the Falcons. And now the point after try here by Luke Strabel. More push-ups from the freshman cadets coming up.
Okay, so play action. You see unbalanced, so the tackle's up here, and then the tight end comes back across when the quarterback comes in play action. That's where he gets lost in the confusion of bodies.
So Carson Roberts throws his 2nd touchdown pass of the season. And now, 10 push-ups, please.
Is that me too?
I'd be afraid at this altitude to put that on you, because if I had to turn around and do it, I'm not sure how it would work out.
Ah, come on.
I know, it'd be okay. Just a little self-deprecating thing there. So Air Force up 10-0. Army is You know, we talked about not built to throw the ball. Because of that, they're not built to come from behind either. So they could really use to find a way to get downfield and get something out of this possession with 2:12 to go in this first half. They will start after a touchback at their own 25-yard line. Reminder tomorrow here on ESPNU. Couple of women's soccer championship games for you. Noon Eastern. Top seeded and #1 ranked Virginia squares off against 2nd seed and #4 Florida State. That's the ACC championship game. Then at 2 Eastern, the SEC championship game between Texas A&M and #5 Florida. Both here on ESPNU and of course streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Soccer heating up too.
It's that time. Fall sports drawn to a close. Of course, basketball season getting underway. The winter sports beginning to kick in. College hockey's underway. It's a great time of the year. So Army from its 25-yard line. Bradshaw will just have a couple. No cloud of dust on this immaculately prepared Falcon Stadium field.
Yeah, I was laughing on the first game, all the muddy jerseys. We don't really see that much anymore. I kind of miss it just a little bit, but it's great to see some of those bad weather games. But now we got all this turf. Not many green grass stains or mud on uniforms anymore. Army starting to go with a little unbalanced here up at the top.
Wow, Bradshaw got cracked after he handed that ball off to the fullback.
Yeah, watch him holding his right arm there. You could see where he grasped himself up around his collar there. You can tell that right arm is not feeling really good.
That's Santo Coppola, a sophomore from Santa Fe who comes through.
See the pop come in right there.
Bang.
You see him grabbing there with his right arm. He's had shoulder issues.
So down to a minute to go in this first half. And,
this is where they hurt him in the quarterback run before, so Air Force got to be careful they stay in their rush lanes.
Ball's on the ground. High snap. Bradshaw was able to fall back on it, and it'll bring up 4th down. 44 seconds to go in the half.
The margin of error is so small for these guys. The 2 penalties killing them, then you have a bad snap. You just can't have many bad plays. Nobody can, but particularly in this offense, you just can't rally back.
So the Falcons take a timeout here with 44 seconds to go in the half, and Army facing a punt situation.
Good clock management for sure.
Well, when you look at things for Jeff Monken's team in the first half, if you were taking them back into the locker room, what would be your summation?
Well, clearly the holding penalty was critical. The procedure penalty on the first drive, that took them, you know, that changed the whole field position game. And that's really the difference in the game right now. So they got to know the snap count, and you can't hold. These guys just got to play clean. They don't have much margin for error.
So much talk about explosive plays. That's kind of one of the buzz phrases these days in college football. They had the 50-yard play wiped out by the holding call.
And I think Bradshaw is the guy that can get them the explosive plays. So whether that's on design quarterback runs, not necessarily option, but it's just straight quarterback run is a way to make something happen. And then they've got to create some turnovers. So, you know, that may be taking some chances on defense themselves and trying to blitz in there and get in the mesh point, you know, between the quarterback and a back and see if they can't dislodge the ball and get a turnover and shorten the field.
So Alex Tardieu has been busy. This will be his 6th punt of this first half at the end of the 6th Army possession.
Air Force loading it up. Now that last snap was decent. This one's good too.
They come after it. He gets it away. Taken at the 31-yard line with a fair catch, and that is where the Falcons will go with just 40 seconds to go. A look back with our Jared the Galleria of Julie drive recap. The scoring drive that the Falcons had just a moment ago. Here was the big play. The pitch and catch from Carson Roberts to Garrett Brown.
Yeah, we talked about them taking some shots. They missed on one, but they got that shot right there, and that's the one exposed for this game. Now, curiously, they're going to kneel on it here. I took a timeout, but maybe they thought they'd get the block punt and then do something with it.
So Air Force going to go to the locker room with a 10-0 lead over Army. We talked about what Army's halftime thoughts might be. How about on the blue side of the sidelines here?
They've done a nice job. They really have, and they're pretty methodical. They've got to hit their shots. They're going to take a few more when they've got the wind. Contain Bradshaw when he throws. There's not a whole lot of things you have to go over for both of these teams. It's pretty self-explanatory.
So the time will expire here in this first half. And on a day when the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy is in play, the annual round robin between Navy, Army, and Air Force, it's Air Force who will go to the locker room with a lead of 10-0 here at the end of the first half. We send it to Brendan Fitzgerald now, back in the studio. One of the fun traditions here at Air Force, the opening in the tunnel that leads down to the playing field as the cadets come through, getting ready to parade on. Money being thrown their way. Students always need money, don't they? At least that's how it was when my kids were in college. On the campus of the United States Air Force Academy, as Air Force leads Army by a halftime score of 10-0. Allen Bestwick, Coach Dan Hawkins. 3 plays, one of our weekly things that make the difference in a ball game. What were your 3 plays that made the difference in the first half?
Yeah, well, when you only have a 10-0 lead, obviously it comes down to just a minuscule amount of action. This was a huge 50-yard run by Ahmad Bradshaw. Got called back because of holding. That's the only explosive play. Then the big shot down here to Garrett Brown went for 67 yards. This is a big play with the win for the Falcons. Got them in here for this touchdown throw. And add the field goal. That's your 10-0 ball game.
And as we look at our first half stats brought to you by Pennzoil, you'll see a lot of the numbers on there are fairly even, but there are a couple that have pretty significant differences.
Yeah, only 2 penalties, but both of those 2 penalties created a negative option for Army. Not good. And then you see 0 pass yards, Allen. How many times does that happen in a game? And then the inability really to convert on 3rd down. Both of those penalties affected that. And then not being able to throw the football affects that 3rd down as well. Now they got the wind at their back starting the second half. Let's see if they got some answers.
And the wind is somewhat significant today here at Colorado Springs. That kick will go out of bounds. And so Army will get some decent field position with which to start its first possession.
The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
So for Army, looking to get something going here. Shutout in the first half by Air Force. Really not much to speak of. Just 69 total yards of offense, 0 total yards of passing offense. And the quarterback, the sophomore from Chicago, Ahmad Bradshaw, will lead the Black Knights out to see if they can get a sustained drive going. 6 possessions, 6 punts in the first half for Army West Point.
There you see they're fairly balanced between handing it to the fullback. I really think Bradshaw needs to get more carries in this half if they're going to have a chance. He's their big play guy. Look out.
Wrapped up, breaking through quickly up the middle was Claude Alexander for Air Force, and a big loss on the first play of the 3rd quarter.
Okay, little blitz here. Now I think they're on to the snap count. Watch him coming in from the top of the screen right here, anticipating the snap count. Problematic. The other thing it does is it creates a little wear and tear on Bradshaw, who's already has a shoulder issue.
Well, and that's the other thing, Hawk, you were talking about, you know, whether the option was for Bradshaw to carry the ball more. Maybe he's a little more nicked up than anybody wants to let on, and they just don't want him to carry the ball.
Well, he has to. He's not a thrower. He's got to make some hay running the football here. He's one of their best athletes. He's a chance for a big play.
And there you look at some of the numbers on the Air Force defense. Very, very solid.
Done a nice job. Now the other side of it is even if it's just an illusionary thing, at some point Army's going to have to attempt to throw the ball down the field a little bit just to get the defense off of them.
And literally 1 passing attempt for Army in the first half. 1.
Army comes back unbalanced down here at the bottom of the screen again. Blitz.
3rd and long. Bradshaw will keep it. He'll get knocked down shy of first down yardage. There is a flag on the far side of the field.
Got an offsides, I think. early indication.
Offside. 97 defense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Only the 3rd penalty, but boy, in this type of a game, they sure prove critical.
That's the first accepted penalty against Air Force in the ballgame. So, advance the ball out to the 48-yard line, but still 3rd and 2 for the Black Knights.
See if they try to do a little something with a snap count. Keep Air Force off guard, trying to penetrate and get in there and blow up that mesh point between the fullback and the quarterback. They come again.
Kemper, the fullback, is going to get grabbed and stopped short of 1st down yardage by a host of blue shirts.
Air Force is all over it, Allen. They got a key here that Army has got to break, because that's the 3rd time in a row they blitzed not only the mesh point in the fullback, but on the side that the fullback was going to. So they've got some type of a key that they're on that Army needs to break.
So the punt team will come on again for a 7th consecutive possession. And just as he did at the beginning of the first half, the senior from Grants Pass, Oregon, Alex Tardieu, will try and pin Air Force deep in its own territory.
Air Force got nobody back. Interesting.
Nice bounce.
Not sure if they only had 10. I'm not sure if they designed it that way.
Down at the 3-yard line. Brisk November afternoon here in Colorado Springs. Air Force and Army with the Falcons leading the Black Knights 10-0. Interesting situation on that punt just a minute ago by Army.
Yeah, they were anticipating fake because it was 4th and short. So this is Brody Hicks. They had elected to not go with any returner just to make sure to crowd the line of scrimmage right there and take away the fake.
And so Army was able to down the ball at the 4-yard line.
Yeah, that's the issue. Sometimes I think you can cover the fake, but still have because with the wind, you know that Tardieu is going to bang it.
So Carson Roberts, the quarterback for Air Force, leads his team to start their first possession of the 3rd quarter. Nice defensive play there. Ryan England, 20 for Army, grabs the shoe tops of Jacoby Owens and stops him for short yardage.
Jacoby Owens has got some nice production out of that fullback spot. We've seen DJ Johnson, the big back, in there, but Jacoby gives him a little more athleticism up front.
Owens, a 202-pound junior from Las Vegas, Nevada, was a tailback, pressed into fullback duty due to injuries in the last couple of weeks on the part of Air Force.
See Carson Roberts getting him organized up front. A lot on his shoulders this game, checking plays to the line of scrimmage.
A lot of yardage on his feet on that one, and a 1st down for the Falcons.
Mike Thiessen had him dialed up. The offensive coordinator gets in the right play, sees a little overload here, ends up basically running speed option to the outside with a lead back.
So out from the shadow of their own goal line, and the ball out to the 15-yard line. And they'll hand off to Owens again. Nice gain on 1st down. That's going to get him 4 or so before Andrew King brings him down for Army.
See those flags getting after it pretty good. The wind is blowing right into the face of Air Force here, and you see that American flag in the background there. Pretty significant wind, so it's not easy either throwing the ball deep going this way or the kicking game, and that adds to even more conservative play calling when you're on offense.
Again, Owens cracked and knocked backwards by Jeremy Timp, 39 for Army. It'll set up 3rd down for Air Force.
Now Air Force is built for these down and distance situations probably a little bit better than Army when it just comes to being able to throw the football, and they've run some bootleg actions and had some quick throws, and you see they're breaking formation, kind of going 20 personnel here, 2 backs, 3 wide receivers in the gun.
Quarterback run does not get the needed yardage, and again Jeremy Timp on the stop, one of the defensive captains for Army, and it'll bring up 4th down. And here comes the Falcon punt team.
They're pulling the left guard, showing speed option, but it really set up for the quarterback to be able to run that inside if he gets the right look. Don't really get everybody blocked in a wasted motion. Really, left guard ended up not being able to make contact with anybody.
Give Alex Ackerman, 21 for Army, a call on being in on that stop also.
Army needs to get something happening on special teams.
Come after the punt. Brosi gets it away. Here is Poe from his own 33. Nothing but blue shirts in front of him, though. He'll fall forward to the 35-yard line, and Army will take over the ball there, trailing by 10, third quarter.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, watch sports. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Legendary and vital in our nation's defense, Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station here in Colorado Springs. Just down the road from Falcon Stadium, where the United States Air Force Academy is leading the United States Military Academy, Army West Point, by a score of 10-0. Army with the ball, trailing by those 10 points, starting at their own 36-yard line. Bradshaw hands off, and a nice first down run by Aaron Kemper. Hawk, you and I and some of our ESPNU college football crew had the pleasure of being taken through the Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station yesterday. What an experience that was.
Yeah, it was very cool, and obviously, as you mentioned, extremely vital to our nation's defense. And there's the blast door, which they have a couple of those. We weren't able to film everything or see everything.
Yep.
We have clearance, but we don't have that kind of clearance. And there's the entrance to the complex. But what a phenomenal facility down there, and as you mentioned, serves a number of vital purposes for safety and security around the globe.
Bradshaw keeps stopped from falling forward for first down yardage by Jesse Washington. Yeah, inside of Cheyenne Mountain, of course, the worldwide surveillance and warning system for all of North America.
Little counter option there, pulling the guard, fullback leading. At some point, Army's going to have to break service, meaning even though the field position isn't good, they've got to go for it on a fourth down. Now, it's third right here, but you've got the wind at your back. If you're going to take an opportunity to continue to drive, you need to do it when you've got the wind at your back.
3rd and 1, Bradshaw will convert. And that is the first third down conversion of the day for Army. One last thing on Cheyenne Mountain, going to celebrate its 50th year of operation this coming April. Alan Bestwick, Coach Dan Hawkins on a chilly day in Colorado Springs, watching one of 3 round-robin games for the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. Earlier this year, Navy beat Air Force. Today, it's Army and Air Force. December 12th, it's Army-Navy to see who takes the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy for this 2015 season. Bradshaw hands off inside. And a few yards gain there for the fullback Aaron Kemper, the junior out of Cincinnati. Now, I talked about that Commander-in-Chief's Trophy. First presented in 1972. 44th year it's being competed for. 2.5 feet tall, 170 pounds. And a great source of pride for the football players and the services that they represent all around the world. Bradshaw with a nice run. All the way down to the 35-yard line, make it to 34 before he's knocked down by Brody Hicks.
All right, watch the blitz inside. That time, Army had an answer to it. They'd been faking to the fullback in there. This time they did not block down and were able to seal the blitz and get the quarterback and a back and a pitch guy all the way outside. So nice little adjustment.
Sorry, Hawk. So a 16-yard run there for Bradshaw. And Army trying to make a crease deep into Air Force territory and see if they can get that 0 off the scoreboard.
Army had a lot of success running this unbalanced look.
No success there, as Lachlan Deeks broke that thing up right from the get-go. 54 for Air Force.
Yeah, they've been pulling the guard and kind of running some counter option. You're going to see the same thing here. You're pulling the right guard, handed to the fullback, but there's so much penetration, the guard gets knocked off course.
Yeah, he just beat Mike Houghton there.
Got to think Army's in 4-down territory now. unless you feel like your field goal kicker has a shot. But you're second and 11 here. You got to plan on 3 downs to get a first down.
Field goal kicker Grochowski's long this season is 41. His career log is 52, and they are with the win. Here's the pitch outside to Nicholas Black into the ball game for the Black Knights, number 10.
Good second effort running. Air Force strung that out pretty well. What happens sometimes on defense, if you get on different levels, meaning some defenders are in front of others, it creates running lanes in that option game. Important for those guys to stay on the same level.
That was just the 6th carry of the season for Black, the freshman out of the Woodlands, Texas. Army making some yardage here in this third quarter. More so certainly than the second. Crucial third down here. Bradshaw with nowhere to go. Weston Steelhammer, number 8 for Air Force, was in around his ankles.
One of the great names in college football. Props to his parents. Leading tackler on this team. Again, they're really pressuring, penetrating. Good job. Anytime your safety gets up there and makes a tackle on the line of scrimmage. Very heady player out of Shreveport, Louisiana.
So here is Daniel Grochowski, the Army field goal kicker. This would be his longest of the season if he's able to make it.
He's got the wind.
And he does. And Army is on the scoreboard with 4 minutes to go in this third quarter. The senior from Sarasota, Florida, Daniel Grochowski, makes the Cadets happy. More great college football coming up tonight over on ABC at 8 Eastern. The Ohio State University, the number 3 team in the college football playoff initial rankings, hosting Minnesota at the Shoe. Our coverage presented by Walmart. The game, of course, streaming live on Watch ESPN as well. A 1-score game now here at Air Force. Army getting on the board. Their senior kicker, Daniel Grochowski, with his longest of the season, a 47-yard field goal, capping off a 9-play drive.
You got a little altitude up here, plus a little wind, Alan.
And keeping a trend that has gone on the last couple of weeks for the Black Knights, where they've had a pretty good run at it in the third quarter. So Grochowski to kick off. It'll be Timothy McVeigh and Devin Rushing back deep for Air Force. Can the Army defense come up with a stop? Air Force will start from the 25-yard line on the touchback. So really, that's what it comes down to here. Hawk, right? Flag coming in late. Couple of flags coming in late. Some extracurriculars here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flags on the field. That's a lot of laundry.
Now, at some point upon graduation, these guys on these sidelines are going to work together in a harmonious fashion, but not occurring here today on the gridiron.
That's 5 flags and 1 hat, by the way. So that means he had 2 fouls, so that's 6 people spotted a foul there.
Result of the play is a touchback. The ball will be placed at 25-yard line. After the play was over, we have unsportsmanlike conduct, number 45 of Air Force and number 19 of Army. They will both count as their first unsportsmanlike conducts, and that penalties will offset. First down.
Michael McFadden for Army and Scott Hester for Air Force brought about the raining of yellow.
Giving them the business. Right there, gets knocked down.
And he comes
back.
Then
he retaliates. Always the second guy.
All right. So here come the Falcons. Now leading by a touchdown from their own 25-yard line. And a nice play to rein in quarterback Carson Robbins, made by Jeremy Timpf, defensive captain for Army, the junior from Tucson, Arizona.
Very smart decision. Brandon Jackson was all over the pitch one more time, and Roberts very wisely tucked that thing, even though he did not have much room to run.
A lot of time to go in this game, but you kind of feel like for Army, getting on the board finally gives them a little momentum. If their defense can get off the field as DJ Johnson gets a nice pickup from the fullback spot. You kind of feel like if their defense can get off the field without giving up any points, it might give the offense a little boost.
Yeah, and they need to. There's 3:34 in this half, and you need the wind. And as we saw on the field goal, the wind-aided field goal really helped. And they need to take advantage of it and try to get a stop here, force the short punt so they can reduce the field, try to get back in scoring distance before this quarter runs out.
3rd down. And the pitch. Outside, reaching for it was Tyler Williams. He was chased to the sideline.
Tremendous effort. Tremendous effort.
Alex Ackerman, 21, came from inside out. And are they going to give him the spot that'll give him the 1st down?
Running the quick pitch. Tremendous effort.
They do move the chains forward. 1st down, Falcons.
That would have been a critical stop for Army, trying to get the ball back before this quarter gets over.
Little trickeration downfield. And nicely defended. Ball in the direction of Jalen Robinette, but Brandon Jackson, 28, stayed with it. And what a nice athletic move to reach in and bat that away.
Yeah, the young kid from Queens, just a freshman, has made a lot of plays in this game. Now they're without Josh Jenkins, their best corner, who's out for the year's concussion, but those two guys would make a nice pair of corners. Really, look at him. Stays off the back, goes up with the right hand. Now that ball fluttered just a little bit because, again, throwing it right into the jaws of the wind.
Yep. Johnson had his leg grabbed onto and not let go of by Jordan Smith, 57 for Army, the junior from Oceanside, California. Guy who's got a knack for blocking kicks, by the way. There's Johnson, who missed the last 3 games injured, has made his return today.
He's a load. That kid is a big fullback in anybody's offense.
So 3rd and 6 for Air Force. Roberts throws, looking for another one downfield. Nice adjustment to get the ball was Jalen Robinette. He had to come back for that one, and this time he hauled it in.
Not a pretty throw, but he gave him a chance to get it. Ball was inside where you don't want it to be, but at least he gave him a shot. That's a tough play on the corner. When you throw that behind the defender, it's very hard for the corner to get his eyes back and make a play on that.
Jalen Robinette, the junior from Bexley, Ohio. Now 1 reception away from moving into the Air Force all-time top 10 career receptions list. 34-yard pickup there. And that brings the ball after that run down to the 25-yard line.
See the altitude and tempo wearing on the Army guys here a little bit, because it does. And this is about the time it'll start getting to you. I've spent some time in the altitude. Along about the end of the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, it'll start getting to you a little bit.
Roberts keeps it. Short gain. It'll set up 3rd down. And that's something, when you see the hands on the hips, that's something Troy Calhoun told us is when you can watch for Air Force to maybe ramp up the tempo a little bit. When you see the other guys getting run down, try and see if you can take advantage of that. They don't seem to be in any big hurry here as we come to the end of the 3rd quarter, but certainly something to keep an eye on. Yeah,
you want to be a little bit aware, just because if you flip the field and got a kick.
3rd and 5.
If you go the other way and you kick, you've got a little better feel with the wind at your back.
Coming this way, not going anywhere. Brian Driscoll chased to the side by Andrew King, 11 for Army, and it'll set up 4th down.
Might be worth a timeout by Army right here just to make them kick the ball into the wind. You let the quarter run out, now you got to kick with the wind. It's going to be a much easier field goal than it is right now. Looks like the Army is waiting for the quarter to run out, and then they'll probably make a decision whether they're going to go for it or kick the field goal.
Air Force, you mean there, right?
Yeah, Air Force.
Army does not choose to call the timeout, and so they'll switch ends of the field, and it'll be 4th down for Air Force, leading by 1 touchdown. We head to the 4th quarter here in Colorado Springs. Ready for the fourth quarter to begin, with Air Force leading Army by a touchdown and getting ready, the kicker Luke Strable to kick a field goal. Hawk, interesting strategy moment just happened there at the end of the third.
Yeah, easy to second guess from up here, but I'm not so sure that I wouldn't have taken a timeout and made Air Force kick the ball into the wind. Now his long is 44. He's setting up here at about 42, but with that wind, that's a significant difference.
Strable, the sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee, 4 of 5 on field goals this year. His only miss was from 37. And he hits that one from 42. So it's back to a 10-point advantage for the Falcons over the Black Knights. Luke Strable adds 3 to the Air Force total. 3 earlier on the opening field goal, 10 after the touchdown, 13 more just now. And the freshmen cadets here at Air Force are up to 26 on the push-up total. And the football team on the field has a 13-3 lead over Army here early in quarter number 4. 10-play, 50-yard drive set up by the big 34-yard pass from Carson Roberts to Jalen Robinette, and capped off by the 42-yard Luke Strable field goal.
Interesting strategy about deferring, taking the ball, the wind, when you're using your timeouts in a close game like this. Now the Falcons were able to kick the field goal with the wind, and they have the wind in the fourth quarter. Critical.
Let's check in with Brendan.
Nice job.
Clemson came out with the #1 ranking in the initial college football playoff rankings. Find out who the committee thinks is where this coming Tuesday as Army takes over the ball after the touchback at its own 25-yard line. Very short gain on first down. Christian Drake.
Yeah, a little wrinkle inside trap. Backside away from the option look. First time we've seen that. And that's the thing I was going to say, Alan, is now because of the passing game lacks for Army, do they have some other formations and some plays in their arsenal that Air Force hasn't seen that could help generate some big play explosion opportunities?
Got to get the ball down the field. Not going to get anything. Not even going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Alex Hansen, 87, and 34. DJ Dunn for Air Force will wrap Bradshaw up in the backfield.
DJ Dunn doing a nice job. And Hansen right there, this guy's a player. This guy could play on a lot of Division I teams that are not academy ball teams. He's a good, solid kid. Plays a tackle, a defensive tackle, playing outside shade of the tackle at times. This guy's a very good football player.
6'3", 260-pound senior from Oak Forest, Illinois. Leads the team in tackles for loss and sacks. He's got 5 blocked kicks in his career, 2 of them this year. So third down here for Army. And they need a lot. And a whistle, and they're going to call timeout from the far sideline.
Timeout. Army. That's their first timeout. Media timeout.
Coach does not appear happy right there.
ESPNU College Football is brought to you by Samuel Adams for the love of beer. And Fitbit. Find your fit at Fitbit.com.
Cadets from Army, cadets from Air Force, watching their 2 schools fight it out on the football field. Air Force leading 13-3, 13.5 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Army has only had 2 plays of 9 yards or more all game long. They need 9 yards here on third down.
It might as well be 3rd and 30.
Bradshaw going to chuck it downfield in the direction of Edgar Poe, and he pulls it in.
Wow.
Edgar Poe, the 6'4", 215-pound junior. Yes, his middle name is Allen. Gets the big reception from Ahmad Bradshaw, 33 yards.
There you go. Give him a chance. Got one-on-one coverage out there. Poe with a little height advantage. Eyes coming around just a little bit late. Hey, if you give a guy a chance to make a play, he's got a shot.
So into Air Force territory at the 40, and more importantly, the drive kept alive. Flag comes in. Where it came from, likely to be a holding call.
Yeah, the other thing that happened in this deal, Alan, I think they are going holding. Sometimes you get chop block because of the way cutting blocking.
Holding. Number 70 offense. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That is just brutal for this team because, man, you get, now it's 1st and 25. No, it's going to be 1st and 20.
And it's going to kick them all the way back to midfield.
1st and 20. Ooh.
Second really critical penalty we've seen Army take in this one. Third accepted penalty against the Black Knights, but another one was kind of a drive killer earlier in the game.
The way this game is moving along here, again, you'd have to think you're in 4-down territory. And I don't know, you're going to kick into the wind. It'd be tough. You're going to have to get pretty close to being field goal range.
Bradshaw with the pitch outside to Tyler Campbell as we check in with Brendan Fitzgerald. Well. How about that? I tripped myself up tossing to you, Brendan, because I was going to say pitch to you when I was talking about the pitch on the field. But sometimes when you get too cute, that's what happens. So 2nd and 19.
There's no pitching going on in NASCAR. Or maybe there is. I don't know.
Ooh. Pass downfield. Complete to Poe again. There is a flag down. Flag down back at the Army 45.
Bradshaw took a shot.
And Bradshaw is really hurting.
But he delivered a strike to Poe and he dropped
Illegal
it.
shift on the offense. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
Ahmad Bradshaw came into this game banged up. He's going to leave him. I hope they had a lot of ice on the plane back to West Point. Army's been all over him. Even when he's handed it off, he's taking shots. Shoulder injury before he came into this game.
And this was the last play. Ouch. Just planted into the turf by Weston Steelhammer. So 3rd and forever for Army. And they hand off to the fullback Kemper. And the ball will be at the 45-yard line. They need the 30. And it's 4th down.
Boy, it's tough because you just don't have a lot of plays. It's unfortunate that they had the holding penalty early on because you'd think you're in 4-down territory, but 4th and 15, unless you're going to throw it up for Edgar Allan Poe, a struggle.
That's the second drive that Army has had that has been snuffed out by penalties. And so Tardieu kicks from his own 40, and again looking to flip field position here. And that is caught by Garrett Brown, and Air Force will have the ball at the 11. Pretty good idea to be bundled up under that blanket on the shady side of the stadium as well here, down to about 40 degrees at Falcon Stadium as we check our Taco Bell game track and where the Air Force offense has made most of their hay.
Feed the fullback. Can't stop the fullback up inside. You struggle against an option offense.
So Falcons will go back on offense from their own 11-yard line after Army's drive stalled due to penalties. A 2-score game. And now certainly would be a time to take some time off the clock if you're the Falcons.
Army's got to get right up in there and just dare them to throw the football. It's their only shot. They've got to get a stop.
There's T.J. Johnson with a nice 1st down game.
He's your classic fullback. I like that kid.
Missed the last 3 games hurt, and offensive coordinator Mike Thiessen was saying to us the other day that he was going to be back for this game, but didn't see that he wanted him to carry the ball 65 or 70 times as a fullback might. So here's a nice run coming outside. Brian Driscoll almost out to midfield.
Good formation by the Falcons. They're really forcing. Look at Army. They're in a 7-man front because they're spread out. And then you run the option. You got everybody blocked and a man free. So Army's got to get up in there and dare Air Force to try to take a shot, because we're not going to let you run it. They're going to bleed the clock out here and flip the field.
28-yard gain and a throw to the far side to Garrett Brown. Brown down to the 31-yard line.
Very similar scheme that they scored on earlier in the game with a pass to Griffin. Running a bootleg back to the right. You see Brown sliding back underneath. Goes unnoticed. He does a good job with the cut and staying in bounds.
And Jalen Robinette with the block there that came in from the side. Got an Army player down on a knee. Just about the 27-yard line. That's Tevin Long, who was the player that made the stop.
Okay, right about now, Allen's when I'm in the headset and I'm telling the defensive coordinator, bad weather and colors. Because that means some sort of a blitz, some sort of a stunt. You don't want to hear any base calls in here. You need blitzes, pressure, turnovers, negative plays.
Injury timeout. Having a good time at a football game on a Saturday afternoon, and why not? Well, fans of the number 7 Michigan State Spartans have the best time tonight as their team takes on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern on ESPN, presented by Hilton Hotels, and also streaming live, as always, on Watch ESPN. Bad weather and colors, huh?
Normally, that's what is an indicator for blitzes, stunts, you know, thunder, storm, all those. You don't want any just generic kind of 5-diamond. You don't want base 5-diamond. You want to bring the house right here.
You mean they don't name them after, like, flowers and things?
No, it's very, very destructive forces. I'm sure they got a lot of creative names for these two teams, but you've got to have negative plays, and you need a turnover most of all. But Army got to crowd the line of scrimmage here and say, this is it. We're going to make a stand right here.
Trailing by 2 scores, the Black Knights. And Air Force has the ball at the Army 30-yard line. Nice hesitation, finding a hole, and lunge forward by DJ Johnson. For Air Force, they've got it all ahead of them as far as what they can accomplish this season. If you look at the standings in the Mountain West Western Division, Air Force, Utah State, and Boise State are all tied. Utah State playing today. Boise State has a bye. Air Force plays their 2 divisional opponents in the next 2 weeks.
Yep. Just like many of these other conferences, coming down to the stretch run. And I always think in football this month, it's really who can take and give the blows and who's toughest and built to finish.
Johnson again. And it'll set up 3rd down and about 3 for Air Force to keep the drive alive.
Now, the advantage they have here is with the wind at their back. This is certainly a doable field goal should they not convert.
Play clock running down. Seemed to be a little confusion going on here. And I think the Falcons are going to have to call for a timeout. So the
timeout. Air Force. That's their first timeout. Timeout on the field.
Falcons will come to the sideline to talk it over and see what they're going to do with this 3rd down and 3. We'll see in a minute. Tomorrow on ESPNU, a couple of women's soccer championship games for you. At noon Eastern, the ACC championship game between top seed and number 1 ranked Virginia and 2nd seed number 4 Florida State. Then at 2 Eastern, the SEC championship game between number 5 Florida and Texas A&M. Both games here on ESPNU and streaming live on Watch ESPN. The Falconer and the Falcon. Here at Falcon Stadium. Air Force with a 3rd down and 3, trying to keep the drive alive and take time off the clock. Roberts to throw. He's got a receiver wide open. Touchdown, Air Force, Garrett Griffin.
Really nice little wrinkle. First time we've seen that formation. We'll come back to it. Got a double wing formation. Double wing formation over here to the right. You see Griffin kind of gets lost down inside. He's the third receiver. I'm sure that's the first time Army has seen that formation. I've watched a bunch of film. I've not seen that too much from the Falcons. Good little wrinkle by Mike Thiessen, the offensive coordinator.
So Luke Strable on for the point after and knocks it through, and a drive that started on their own 11-yard line for Air Force. 6 plays, 89 yards, 3 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock. Carson Roberts leading his team down the field with a 23-yard touchdown pass to Garrett Griffin. 7 of 10 today throwing the ball for Roberts, a 50% passer on the season. And of course, Griffin, who's missed 5 games this season injured, with his second touchdown reception of the day.
Very efficient day. Didn't throw it a bunch, but not turning it over. And these guys never take a sack. And when I say never, I mean never.
Never. They haven't given up a sack
this year.
And so while the cadets do some more push-ups, very strong on their part, how about Carson Roberts, the Air Force quarterback, for our AT&T strong performance of the day, Hawk?
Really efficient. As you mentioned, 7 of 10. He did miss on one shot early. That was a great, really just Robinette making a play for him. A couple of good wrinkles on play action, helping spring some receivers open.
So now a 17-point lead for Air Force, and the ball will go on the touchback again. And for Carson Roberts, started the last 6 games and looking to see if he can lead his team into the Mountain West Conference Championship game. And again, 2 big games in the next 2 weeks for the Falcons. Utah State, by the way, in a close one right now with New Mexico. New Mexico actually leading in the beginning of the 4th quarter there, 14-10. And the Aggies coming here next Saturday.
New Mexico is another team. They're not a triple option team, but they run the option down there.
Bob Davie and his group. Boise State still has them to play this year also. So Ahmad Bradshaw will keep it himself on first down. Claude Alexander with the stop. Gutty performance by the Army quarterback today. Banged up. He's taken some big licks, as we've seen earlier, but he's still out there and still giving it his all.
This is where you'd like to have no huddle be a part of your day-to-day process, because being down a couple of scores here, you need to get moving, and you don't have a bunch of explosive play capability, but you've got to save some time in between plays.
Gets away from one, throws to the near side, falls incomplete just ahead of the fullback, Matt Giacinta.
Matt Giacinta, you see the C on his jersey. He is a team captain, but they've really gotten a lot of production out of Kemper from that fullback spot.
I was talking about Bradshaw a second ago, Hawk. 1 of 4 passing for 33 yards, 16 carries, 47 yards. And the sophomore from Chicago looking to see if he can convert here on 3rd and 4.
Well, he'd have been close to a 100-yard day if they hadn't had holding on his 50-yard scramble.
Yeah. Going to have to get rid of that one, and does quickly. Giacinta trying to plow his way forward. Where do they spot the ball? They signal first down for Army.
Good effort getting to the sidelines. Army running hard to the ball. Connor Healy doing a great job chasing that thing down. See him coming out of that linebacker spot there.
Just put his head down and kept pushing. Giacinta, a senior from Cold Spring, New York. Systems engineering major at the U.S. Military Academy. Bradshaw going to heave it down near side, and he and 2 receivers not on the same page because that ball fell right between them. Talking about Giacinta, and of course being at one of the service academies means a very demanding schedule academically, militarily, not to mention throw in the athletics.
Yeah, and I'm guessing wake up is a little earlier than that, and I'll bet lights out aren't always at 23:30. I know those guys are studying underneath the blankets with a flashlight trying to get all their homework done by about 1 o'clock the next day.
2nd and 10 here for Army. They'll hand off to Aaron Kemper, And he'll have 3 or 4. Yeah, you talk about the type of student that we're watching, student athlete playing football here today. Got to have about a 3.5 GPA and score a 25 on the ACT test just to be considered for academic entry into one of the service academies. And that doesn't include the military physical aspects of it, the extracurricular activities that you want to have on your resume, and the fact that you're going to carry 18 credits per semester while you're here.
Well, these are America's best and brightest, and we owe a great deal to these guys for their service after they quit playing football, but all the things they have to go through, as well as their military obligations during the summer when they're still going to school. We talked to the coaches, and you think you have all these smart guys, you can do all these things X's and O's wise. Well, they've got to go to school, so you can't cram too much game planning in there or you're going to lose out.
4th down here for Army. Bradshaw's going to throw. Near side, had a receiver, skipped it short. And the ball will go over to Air Force on downs.
And really, Alan, we usually give an impact player for the game.
Penalty flag. Hang on 1 second, Hawk.
Personal foul. Hands to the face, number 97, Air Force. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Santo Coppola flagged for that personal foul. You were saying?
Well, normally we give an impact player, but we want to give impact player to all the guys. And really the women at these academies too, but for the impact they have on us and our country and what they do to serve and protect, it really is a credit to their parents and their high school coaches and really great people, and we owe them a lot, and they have a huge impact on our country and our world at large when they get out of this place.
Bradshaw laid over backwards by Weston Steelhammer as he tripped over one of the down linemen. If you're not familiar, basically the service academies are training the officers of the military of the future. And all of these student athletes that you're watching play here today, once they begin their junior year of school, are committed to 5 years of service in the armed forces. So all of these players you're looking at are training in specific areas, and the academic load is enormously heavy. Nice throw there. 1st down pitch and catch. Nicholas Black has the reception, and Army is down to the 32-yard line.
Got a brother-in-law. He went to West Point. I'm going to see the throw right here. And it's a little too late. Too late. But I have a brother-in-law. He's a 3-star general in the Army right now. Both his sons went to Army, and my brother's got a son at West Point as well. And it's quite an honor to go there, and it's a rigorous course of training, that's for sure.
And so just to be around campus, coming in here Thursday, just to be around and watch all the cadets and the things that they're doing and look at the schedules and so on, and talk to some of the young men and women. So impressive, and it makes you feel so good about our country and those who serve it. Penalty flag coming in, be a little false start.
False start. Offense, number 10. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Of course, Air Force needs to win this game over Army. Then they need Army to get their Go Tough socks on and get after Navy, and they'll be able to keep the Commander-in-Chief's trophy.
Tall task. Navy's got a very good ball club, and they're playing well this year. Batted in the air. And the tip drill, and he couldn't come down with it. Lachlan Deeks had a chance for the nose guard to get an interception, and the ball hit the ground.
He's not going to leave that down, live that down. Those defensive linemen, you got a chance to get a turnover like this, and then he might have had a chance to run with it a little bit too, but Lancey.
Jacob Onichi was the one who tipped the ball up into the air. So 3rd down and long. And just to talk about the other side of the ball from Army's perspective, Jeff Monken trying to rebuild a program. Army has fallen on some tough times in football, but they're making some structural changes. How you fold all of these academics and the military training into football. Bradshaw in a lot of trouble, and he'll go down back at the 45. How you fold that together with the football program is challenging, but he's got experience with it, and he has a plan. They seem to be getting support of the administration, and they're going to work toward it.
Yeah, they talked about how important it is to win at Army, what it means to our country, and really the chemistry and culture there of what the U.S. Army is all about. And Coach Monken spent time at Navy. They're trying to adopt some of the programs. One of them having the young guys go out right after spring finals and get their summer service done so they can come back and train and be ready to go once the football season happens.
The 3 blocks of service time that these cadets do during the summer, instead of going away, say to overseas, Ramstein somewhere in Germany or something, and not getting back to campus really until football season and fall camp's about to start, to do the overseas or the military training right away, and then come back and do 2 more blocks of training at West Point, so they're on campus and in the workout room and doing the other things that other FBS programs football players get to do.
Yeah, and talking to Coach Monken, and it seems sort of funny, but being able to eat and eat as much as you want is a big deal, particularly for these guys that are working so hard all day to keep their weight up.
Bradshaw throws in the direction of Poe. He was looking for a flag. There does not appear to be one forthcoming right in front of the Army cadets, and the ball will go over to Air Force on downs.
But being able to feed these guys, let them have the proper nutrition, the amount of nutrition, having time to eat it, that's critical. So you're at a little bit of tugging, pushing going on.
Yeah, I think they got away with one there.
Yeah.
And another hit on Bradshaw.
That guy needs to be in just a permanent ice bathtub all the way back to New York. Coach Monken is not happy.
If you read lips, there's no doubt that he's not happy. So Air Force has the ball, 4 minutes to go in the game, and they'll start at their own 45-yard line. And the handoff to the fullback, DJ Johnson. And he'll get about 4 on first down. Don't forget, a lot more great college football coming on the ESPN networks tonight, as well as over on ABC. 8 Eastern, Ohio State, the number 3 team in the initial college football playoff rankings, taking on Minnesota in Columbus. It's presented by Walmart, also streaming live on Watch ESPN tonight.
Cardale Jones back in the saddle there after J.T. Barrett showed a tremendous lack of judgment last week. One of the things that comes with putting your future with young men who make poor decisions.
Nice run. Brian Driscoll just about gets to the line to gain. It'll set up 3rd and very, very short for Air Force. Well, Troy Calhoun, former Air Force quarterback, now in his 9th year here at the Academy as its head coach. 64 and 47 entering today. You mentioned his NFL experience, Hawk. Coached with Denver and Houston in the league, and he's taken his team to 7 bowl games in 8 years. They're about to wrap up a win that'll get them bowl eligible for 2015.
Yeah, kind of a big deal as they go down the stretch here. You don't want to have that gorilla hanging on your back. You want to be bowl eligible. And Troy Calhoun's a guy whose name keeps coming up every year at certain spots around the country with these job openings. And I don't know that he'll ever decide to leave here, but certainly a guy that's got great experience and a guy that's classy, got a lot of integrity, done a great job. And we unfortunately, and I say you unfortunately, I've spent a lot of time. He's got a lot of great stories, and he's a lot of great storyteller. And he loves, you could tell the passion, just, he talked about being around these guys, and I love, he's like, that's when you get jacked, he said, because he loves being around these guys. He loves the fact that they're great people and developed in their leadership skills, and he's all about that.
That will be Driscoll again with the carry. Had the chance to just watch Coach Calhoun in practice here on Thursday, and most accommodating and welcoming, and it was a real treat to listen to him talk to his players at the end of the practice when he gathered them all around and what he had to say to them about getting ready for this game and what it means to represent Air Force in a service academy game.
he's probably one of the few Division I coaches that's actually going to come over and personally greet you on the sidelines at practice.
He did.
And tell you to get in the film tower if you want to get a better view.
He did. And so victory formation time here for Air Force, who will improve their record to 6-3 on the season, become bowl eligible again, and face these two huge Mountain Division games in the Mountain West Conference in the next 2 weeks. Utah State here, and then at Boise State in 2 weeks to see if they can find a way into the conference championship game. And where the Commander-in-Chief's trophy
is under review.
And again, our thanks to all our men and women and all the branches of service around the country, not just those in Army and Air Force. My dad being an old Navy man, my mom actually was a WAC, the Women's Air Corps. She was in the Air Force.
Yep.
And all these future leaders of our country and the world that are out here in uniform and sitting in the stands.
Review. The pager was set off inadvertently.
There you go. I was wondering what they might be reviewing. So a minute left and a couple more kneel downs to come, and since you brought that up, certainly would be neglectful of me not to mention my dad's 28 years serving our country and how thankful and proud I am of that. And so Air Force going to get a win and keep their hopes for the Commander-in-Chief's trophy alive. They lost to Navy earlier this year, had 4 turnovers in that game. And now, of course, with their win over Army, they need the Black Knights to go to Philadelphia December 12th and beat Navy to set a 3-way tie-up and retain possession of that most important prize to these Service Academy players and those they represent. And now one of the great things you'll see in an Academy game, the players who fought so hard on the football field will show so much respect to each other. They'll stand for each school's alma mater to be played. They'll shake hands. They'll know that while they were combatants on the field of football today, one day they may be partners in arms in the field defending our freedoms. Final score, Air Force 20 and Army 3 on a great afternoon of football here on the Air Force Academy grounds at Falcon Stadium. So 23 your final score. Air Force over Army. Hawk, another great day, great football game. Look forward to lots more as the night goes on, and we thank all of those cadets for another great weekend here on the Academy. For Dan Hawkins, Alan Bestwick, so long from Air Force.